Former presidential candidate and also former New York City mayoral candidate Andrew Yang making some big news. Apparently, according to Politico, and we can throw this tear sheet up on the screen, he is planning to launch a third party. So we knew that he had a book coming out. It's called Forward, Notes on the Future of Our Democracy. Full disclosure, I blurbed the book. It includes a lot of sort of prescriptions, things like ranked choice voting and his view of the types of reforms that our democracy needs, many of which I am certainly supportive of. But this is an indication he's going to go one step further and actually launch a third-party effort. So it'll be interesting to see. And also, I mean, I guess what I'm curious about, is he going to have more of the energy of his presidential campaign, or is it going to be more of the energy of his New York City mayoral campaign, which to me was very disappointing. I mean, he basically got these like Bloomberg consultants around him. His platform was kind of confused. It was a harder place to really tout his universal basic income, which was kind of the centerpiece of his presidential campaign. So we'll see.
I think it's going to be interesting, which is that it's not just about UBI. We covered this so much. His crossover amongst Trump people was the highest of any Democratic candidate, except for Tulsi Gabbard. Almost 40% or something crossover support. Now, here's what he says, and this does sound like my kind of book. Indictment of America's era of institutional failure introduces to the various priests of decline, including politicians whose incentives have become divorced from the people they supposedly serve. And as you point out, the problem that they had was that his New York City candidacy was just a little bit too typical. He seemed like a normal politician. That's the problem, right? Is that if you're going to run as a normal politician, then they're going to vote for the actual normal politician, who's Eric Adams. Ergo, why he won. And so in this one, if he returns to like the real roots of the Yang Gang and that energy that he found back in 2019, I 100% think that not even about the success of the third party, in sparking a discussion, it would be interesting, it would actually be important. So that is where the energy like has to be. Yeah,
I mean, look, even going, just in terms of talking about issues and whether this will be a platform that I would be interested in, even his presidential campaign, you know, I'm a Medicare for All supporter. He ran away from that. Federal jobs guarantee supporter in addition to a UBI supporter. That's not something that he supports. So for me, again, I'm going to be interested to see what the platform actually looks like. But even putting the policy details aside, I think third parties can be important in pressuring the mainstream parties to do better. And I support them from that perspective. In terms of a practical reality of what I think is going to actually succeed electorally and have the greatest chance to impact American politics, I just think that the evidence is crystal clear, no pun intended, that hijacking one of the existing institutional parties is the way to go. And we saw that, I mean, we actually saw it from the other terrible direction with Bill Clinton in the 90s and the DLC, who came in, total takeover. That was easier to do because they were corporate backed and shilling for corporate interests. Trump, Tea Party and then Trump did a similar thing with the Republican Party. And while, yes, ultimately Trump turns out to be just another handmaiden for the elites, the elites didn't necessarily know that. They still hated him. They didn't know that going in. So, you know, they were very much opposed to roots of the Yang. Totally take over the party and craft it in his own image. Now that image turned out to be just about fealty to him rather than anything actually like good or different. But that's another example. And then we can't ignore the fact that Bernie almost did it twice. You know, he came a whole lot closer to actually taking over the Democratic Party and affecting change there than, say, third party Evergreen Party or another third party effort has in having success from a third party standpoint. So again, I'll wait to see what the platform is in terms of whether I think, you know, that's something I'm interested in or not. I'll wait to see whether it's more of the presidential campaign energy or the mayoral campaign energy and whether he's going. I mean, his mayoral campaign was almost this sort of like weird, like no labels-y third way type of thing, which is why it also got fourth and did which I'm not into at all. But just from a strategic perspective, I don't think this is the most effective way for Yang to impact politics. I'll give the one scenario where I saw from Nate Silver and I was like, that actually makes sense. He was like, I don't think it'll be Andrew Yang, but one thing I could foresee is an unpopular Kamala Harris running against a Donald Trump in 2024. That would be the most rife area where a third party might, and I was like, well, you know, that's not a bad point. I'd be 100% Yang Gang in that scenario.
And it's like, if you think about it, you're like, wow, like Harris v. Trump, you're about two politicians with maybe 30%, I mean, Harris even less, but like 20, 30% of the population. That actually would leave, you know, some sort of area open. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's easy for a third-party person to come close, but what did Ross Perot win? 20-something% of the vote? Could be enough. I mean, it's a crazy system we have.
Well, and before Perot did his whole drop down, then I'm sort of back in thing. I mean, he was a real contender there for a minute. Yeah.
So look, it can be done. It has to be an extraordinary set of circumstances.
Yeah.
Is Yang the man to do it? We'll see. All
right. All right, guys, we'll have more for you later. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it, you get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.